a safety fire meeting um, to, to get to know what to do in case of fire. So the location, the fire sprinklers, where everything is located, and what to do in that case that happens. Um, should I give it to him?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, he's gonna take over and let us know what to do in that case. So just a brief introduction, all right?
We're not getting any sound from that.
Can you hear me now?
It's there. It's there.
Got it.
Great.
Close. You have to talk into it.
The papers that I passed out don't have anything to do with them. We'll go over those after. They came out of our fire station.
Okay, those papers we'll go over in a little bit, all right? Thank you.
All right. So my name is Chris Wolf. I'm a lieutenant here at the Pflugerville Fire Department. Always good to come and visit with you guys. Thank you for having us. I'd like to give a big thanks to my partner Chase. He's from Alliance, and he volunteered to come out and work with us today. As you can imagine, they're very busy today, and he was able to carve out some time for us to be here. And so he's a wealth of information and knows your systems. And so I'll talk about the rescue. And so I know that this is a challenging situation because we've got people with mobility problems up on the upper floors. And I was actually here when we were evacuating people during the winter storm. We were moving folks up and down the steps. And what I can tell you is the biggest thing is thanks to Chase and Kim and everyone who keeps this facility in good shape and designed good sprinklers, is any fire that we have in here is generally going to be kept in check by the sprinkler system. So it isn't going to be like what you see on TV or like a raging inferno. That said, the sprinklers oftentimes don't put the fire out by themselves. So the firefighters will still need to come in and put the fire out. And that's going to be, if I'm coming in on the very first engine, that's going to be my number one concern. And you could be like, hey, you know, I'm up here, my friend is on the third floor and she can't walk. Well, cool. My thinking is if I put the fire out, now everybody's safer than before. So the first 2 or 3 engines, that's what we're going to be doing, is trying to get the fire out. Then we're going to be making contact with people and say, hey, are there people that need to evacuate? And if there are, then we'll start getting folks out that way. We have, so Chase can talk about way better than I can, but when your fire alarm goes off, those elevators are not going to be usable by you guys. They're going to come down to the ground floor, or they're going to come to a floor that they know there's not fire at. And then when I get here and I know the fire's out, say, sir, I'm coming up to get you. Which floor do you live on? 4th. Perfect. Hey, you live on the 4th floor. I'm able to use my fire key in the elevator. We'll take control of the elevator. We'll go up to the 4th floor, grab you, and bring you down. That being said, as you can imagine, it's not going to be a fast process. To me, the fastest process needs to be getting the fire put out. Then we'll mitigate smoke, and we'll make sure that there's no one with a medical emergency, and start going from there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Any questions on the fire response or what you can expect? Generally, I'll tell you, I'll try to think about a question. All right, if you're in your room and you don't smell smoke, you hear the alarm. I'm not sure if you guys, do you want them to evacuate at that point or just stay in place? So make sure your doors are shut, and those doors are amazing. And you've got fire doors throughout the facility, but even your door is designed to keep fire out from coming into your room. Let's say that you smell smoke or something like that. If you start thinking that it isn't safe for you to be in there anymore, then that's the time that if you're able to evacuate, go ahead. If you're not able to evacuate, I recommend you guys pick up the phone, call 911, and say, hey, my name is Mrs. Jones. I live on the 3rd floor of building 2. I smell smoke in my room, or maybe I've got a sprinkler activated in my room. I need someone to come and get me, and then that's going to get relayed through dispatch to me. So if I show up on the first in engine, I'm going to know I've got you on the 4th floor. Just like I said, I'm going to put the fire out, and now I can start directing resources to come and get you. If the fire's in your room, you're going to be seeing me right away, so don't worry. All right, what other questions do we have? Yes, sir.
What if you have fire extinguishers yourself? Should you use them?
Absolutely, yes. Do people remember the acronym? It's PASS. So you're gonna pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, spray, and then spray side to side. Sweep. Thank you. Yep. Pull, aim, spray, sweep. Perfect. Squeeze. Sweep. Yes, sir.
There are different types of fire extinguishers. What type, typically, if we get a fire in our room, and it might be a grease fire on the stove, so what type of fire extinguisher should we get?
Well, you guys are provided with ABC, and that's like a dry chemical.
We aren't provided with any fire extinguishers.
Oh, you guys are in the hallways. And how big are y'all's fire extinguishers?
Huge.
5 pounds?
Yeah, I think they are.
I think so.
Yeah.
And yeah. So raise your hand if you would not feel comfortable deploying a 5-pound extinguisher. Okay. So that is a good that's a good point, and maybe that's something we can look into, providing additional small 2.5-pound extinguishers in units. That's going to be up to the facility. And we at the fire marshal's office, I'm not sure if it's in the fire code, but we don't even mind if they put 2.5-pounders in the cabinets, because we would rather someone be able to run up and grab a 2.5-pounder and put the fire out than not be able to pick up a 5-pounder. That's good. Anything to say about extinguishers?
Well, with different sizes of extinguishers, you run into different.
Can't hear him.
Oh. With different sizes of extinguishers, you run into a quantity type thing. So it'd probably be best to have 2.5-pound extinguishers underneath the sink or somewhere accessible inside the units. That way, also, if someone can't go out and lift a 5-pound extinguisher, they have one readily accessible inside their individual units.
What about these fire blankets they advertise on TV?
Well, those fire blankets are great, especially for I think you brought up about the grease fire and just smothering the fire. We actually started carrying those fire blankets to put out car fires with, big ones. So I recommend them. I think that's definitely, fire safety, you can't be too safe. So he was saying that, hey, could we use a fire blanket? And it's pretty neat. These blankets are designed to smother the fire. And so we remember that the fire needs oxygen, and without that, it's not going to be able to burn. So you take a fire blanket and you put it over where the fire is, and it'll smother it.
Can you tell that they can easily get those on Amazon?
Yes, yeah. If you go on Amazon.com, they will deliver one to your door probably by tomorrow evening.
Portland, yeah.
There you go. So I recommend it. I think you can't be too safe, and those 2.5-pounders also are not expensive.
Home Depot, Amazon carries them as well.
Home Depot or Amazon carry the 2.5-pound. That's the small fire extinguishers. All right, Chase. This guy's a wealth of information. You got anything to add for these guys?
So hi, my name is Chase. I work with Alliance Safety and Fire Protection. We do the fire safety for the entire complex. When it comes to your fire alarm and your fire sprinkler systems, it's not like how you see in the movies. It's not whenever one sprinkler head goes off, the entire complex goes off. The sprinkler head that is associated where the fire is within ratio is the one that's going to be able to put out that fire for the most part. Your other first line of safety is the alarm devices that are scattered throughout the entire complex, which are these little red things on the back wall. You can see it has a red box. It says fire labeled on the side of it, and it has a small little strobe light on the inside with the lenses right there. Whenever a fire goes off and either the smoke detector activates or the sprinkler head activates, your fire alarm system will go off, and those will start blinking really loud, really brightly, and they'll also have an audible sound of a siren going off. That's to let everyone in the facility know that there's an active fire situation, that there's something happening. That is your first line. I guess you guys have the stay in place order. Whenever you guys hear that going off, that's your first alert, okay? With your stay in place order, I would take time to investigate. Kind of, I don't like the lieutenant said, I don't smell any fire in my direct area. Maybe there's nothing to worry about at this time. Wait for someone in the facility to contact you. Whether that's they're calling you on the phones or if they have one of the personnel coming and walking the halls, letting you know what's going on. That is your first sign to be alert. More times than not, about 90% of the time, your sprinkler system will put out whatever fire is happening. There are some times where it spreads rapidly. That's what the fire department will come out and help resolve. And how he mentioned your elevator systems are also partially tied into your fire alarm systems. So don't immediately, whenever you hear one of those things, go and try to get onto an elevator because it's just not going to work. And those elevators not working is to help contain the level where that fire is happening. They don't want you, say you're on the 4th floor, there's a fire happening right next to the elevator on the 2nd floor. They don't want that elevator to come down and immediately open into a raging inferno that you're going to be stuck with. So your elevators are not going to be your first exit strategy. Your stay in place and assess your situation is what you need to do first, and then the community will come and reach out and tell you guys what's going on.
One thing, I always think if I can imagine something, I can do it. And so I want all you to imagine getting through this. Because of the way that the sprinkler system are set up, and I don't know if you know how these activate. So these little heads right here, when they reach a certain point, like I can't see, but I think this is probably gonna be 155 degrees. The little head pops and water's gonna come out of it. So if there was a fire right where I'm standing, it might pop, 3 or 4 of these all together. And that's really what keeps the fire from spreading. Does that make sense? Now, so that's good because there's not much danger from the fire. Now, I might not, if I'm the fire, it might not go up by itself, but it's not going to spread through the building. But everyone's going to be very wet. If those of us sitting, this is like the splash zone when you watch Shamu. We would all be really wet. So that's something that you can imagine is there'll be a lot of loud noises. There'll be strobes going off. If you're near where the sprinkler head activated, there'll be a lot of water. Like 95 GPM.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can hear it blow.
155. The water is going to be
Right
like
now, it's
tap
gonna be
temperature.
cold. Yeah.
So the first bit of it's going to be fine because it's in HVAC environment. And then it's going to get cold after that. All right. Yes, sir.
The detectors in the rooms, are they heat detectors only, or are they heat and smoke detectors? Smoke detectors only, or smoke and heat detectors?
I believe both. I know you've
I
got.
thought, because I did have a situation once where I was cooking something, and I had to set the oven at like 450,
Uh-huh.
and the alarm right next to it went off.
Uh-huh.
There was no smoke or fire or anything,
I think inside the units.
yeah. But the heat from the oven, I think, set it off.
I think inside of the actual units, your residents, they do have heat and smoke combinations.
Okay.
More likely, like in these kind of rooms or out in the breezeways and the hallways, they're just standard smoke detectors.
Good question. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just a confirmation. When the sprinkler goes off in one room, that does not, that it won't go off in all the other rooms?
No.
Correct.
Okay.
It'll only go off where that sprinkler head reached the temperature and shattered.
Okay.
So we know if we've got a multiple sprinkler head activation that we probably have a fuel something that's fueling that fire, and so if you get one go off maybe by your oven, and we've seen. Where's our maintenance guy? Sometimes in the summertime they'll leave those heaters on, and it'll get hot, and that will pop a sprinkler head just from the ambient temperature and the heater being on. So yes.
Okay, let me see if I can remember the question. When you're talking, you make it sound as though it's possible that when we have a fire extinguisher go off, you know about it. That's not completely true, am I right?
No, we do. We're gonna know kind of what zone it goes off in.
But,
It's
I mean, at the station, you
Yes,
can
ma'am.
notice?
Yeah, thanks to the miracle of these systems and guys like Chase that put it together. What's gonna happen is when that opens, there's pipes that feed it, and as water starts moving through those pipes, there's a flow switch. So as the water moves, this switch moves up and closes a circuit, which is going to go back to an alarm panel, which is going to report to a central station that's going to come to us.
It's all computer.
It's
all
all what?
Computer.
So it's through, and so we will know. Hey, you're at 14,320, and you have a water flow alarm.
Right,
Well, I know I need to get over there pretty quick.
okay.
Like we had one this morning, and okay, we show up, there's no smoke, there's no fire, but we still want to mitigate that because we don't want people's stuff getting soaking wet. And like Chase said, it's 95 gallons per minute. You know, this depends, but for the most part, 95 gallons a minute, that's a lot of water. You know, that thing runs for 5 minutes. You got quite a mess on your hands.
I just wanna make sure I understood it.
Yes, so if it goes off in your room, we're gonna know about it. So, good question.
Can I speak to that? You also need to know that our fire panels in every building actually will tell us where that sprinkler is going off. So if we have a person there in front of it, which is what happens when we get an alarm, we send somebody to that panel, whether it's the front panel or the others, and we can read the data on that fire panel and it'll tell us right where that sprinkler is going off.
And there's a panel in the front too that
Yes,
shows
sir.
that like building 5 is having a problem, so they can send someone to building 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's neat is that information is actually relayed to us on the fire engine as I'm coming over here. So it's really cool. We've got a laptop that I'm looking at as I'm driving to you guys. So, yes.
So if the electricity goes out and the computer goes down, is there a backup system for the computer?
Man, these guys are good. There is. That's a great question, and there is, and that's one of the things that these guys do. They'll come in, work with Kim, and they'll test the battery backup, and those battery backups are designed to last for 90 minutes, I believe.
No, it's about, I think about 4 hours now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, 4 hours. All right. Well, there you go. And then your emergency lighting is going to kick on. That light right there's got a little battery in it. So that's a great question. That's a great question. Now, snowpocalypse, we didn't lose water here in Wells Branch, thankfully, but in some parts of Pflugerville, there was no water. So now that is a different situation. You know, we can have an alarm going off, but if we don't have water to put the fire out, then that's bad. But, yeah. Great questions.
I pulled up the 2.5, the ABC, they're $35 and it said on Amazon, so it says you can get them.
$35 on Amazon for an 2.5 pound ABC fire extinguisher.
Yep.
So ABC will extinguish any fire.
Yes.
Yes, except for you could get more nuance, but any fire that you're going to come across.
Electrical, gas,
Yes, sir.
grease, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. And don't you recommend a rechargeable one?
I don't necessarily recommend those. The ones like these are kind of one and dones, $35 and that's it.
Yeah, but they lose their pressure after a while.
We recommend people change them out after 5 years.
What do you do with them after 5 years?
Well, there's actually a program you can bring them to, starting last week, you can actually bring them to the admin building at the fire department. We'll accept them and we take them to the recycling center in Austin.
We could develop a way that you can bring, if you have a fire extinguisher that you buy that you need to get rid of, we will establish a way for you to bring it to concierge and maintenance will manage that with the fire department. We don't expect you to be driving over to the fire department. We can gather a bunch of them together. It's sort of like your batteries and other things like that we don't want being put in the trash, okay? So we'll have Victor put together that. But right now, who has a fire extinguisher in their apartment? Okay, so there's some people that do. It's a good idea to have one. You're certainly not required to. I have 3 in my apartment where I live that are mine.
Does the concierge accept batteries now?
We don't have a battery program, but that can be part of what maintenance can do.
If you guys find out what to do with batteries, let me know, because they used to be pretty easy to take, and now it seems harder and harder to turn those in. But, yes, sir.
Tell me about kitchen fires, they're very common.
They are. So it depends on what kind of kitchen you got. If we're in his kitchen, he has a whole different system that I won't talk about too much, but it's a Class K extinguisher while we're talking about it, and that's designed for like deep grease fires and things like that. So he's got a hood system that's got its own fire. You know anything about it? I'm gonna turn it over to Chase.
So for a hood on a kitchen system is actually almost kind of like a suppression system installed on itself. And what it has is it has a very high chemical-based liquid that comes out and extinguishes specifically grease fires or more highly volatile fires that would happen on that kind of hood. There's also always, per code, there is a massive silver extinguisher that's always in the kitchen. That's a K-class extinguisher, which is specifically designed. It has the same kind of chemical properties that put out more corrosive, more intense fires that would happen on a hood.
Saponification. It's coming back to me. If there's any chemist people, those K-class extinguishers hit the grease and actually become soap. And so that's what it uses to put those grease fires out. So.
But I think for our kitchens and our apartments, we just need something to put out a standard grease fire.
Exactly. Yeah, you guys don't need what a chef over here needs. Yeah, you guys would be doing good with a 2.5 pound ABC. Should be able to put out whatever you've got going on.
Sorry, I've been here for 4 years, so I've been there, done that. Do not store anything inside your oven. The number one problem that we have in the 4 years I've been here is somebody who accidentally or on purpose turns on their oven and forgets their oven is on, and the pots and pans or the Tupperware or you pick. We had somebody with newspaper in their oven. Don't do that.
It was you!
Nothing should be stored inside your oven, okay? Even wrought iron frying pan. Yeah, you put it in there to cure it, to get it right for cooking, but don't leave it in there, because if you turn on that oven, that metal is going to get hot and continue to get hot, and then it's going to start to smoke, and that's going to set off your smoke alarm. And then if that smoke gets out into the hallway, which is what we've had happen recently in the last 2 years, we've had 2 oven smoke. They weren't fires, they were just smoke-induced events from stuff inside the oven getting overheated and creating a huge smoke problem. And then that set off alarms. Everybody remembers who was here. There was a bunch of people in the dining room. Do you remember that? And it got all smoky all the way down here.
Halloween candy started another fire here.
Yeah, so we had one lady put a pillow into her oven thinking it was her dryer and turned it on. And it became this huge smoke event. So some of that is cognitive issues. So we don't want you to use your oven if you don't regularly use it. There's a question.
Now well, this is a question for you.
Okay.
Maybe, or the fireman, I don't know. The oven, there's a drawer at the bottom. It's all right to keep like baking sheets in that drawer.
Technically, yes, you could do that. That's not really what that drawer is for. That drawer is actually a warmer.
Oh.
Technically, it is in in some places, that drawer is actually a broiler. But in the case of our ovens, it is a warming drawer. So like you could make something for dinner, and then you can put that casserole pan down in that other drawer while you're still using your oven to cook your muffins or your dessert or whatever, and your casserole will stay warm in that drawer.
Is that typical?
Wow.
Well, a lot of people don't know that because we've all kind of grown up with the idea of putting our cookie sheets and our muffin pans and, you know, that kind of stuff down in there. But that's really not what that drawer is for.
If you think about it, it's staying warm because you got the oven there on, you know, so.
But it's okay to do as long as they're metal. Don't put anything plastic or
Right.
paper in even that bottom storage
Right,
space.
right.
Kim knows a little bit about everything, I'll tell you what. A little bit about everything.
I love learning something new every day, thank you.
Well,
Better late than
I'm
never.
gonna tell my wife that like I knew it all along. Why are you storing stuff in the warmer?
No, I have a question about the smoke, like you talked about smoke everywhere, and about protecting our lungs and nose and everything from the smoke, so, about
Yeah,
putting something over our face for
I don't really recommend it.
smoke inhalation.
For smoke inhalation, the biggest thing you want to do is get as low as you can and get out. When you start covering your face, like you'll hear people like wet a towel and put it on. Man, I've had wet stuff in fires where I get steam burned, so I'm not a huge fan of that. Just a dry towel, now you've got something combustible on your face. The biggest thing is just to get the heck out of there. And the nice thing is in this facility, you're not going to have superheated smoke. You're going to have what we call cold smoke from these sprinklers. So, you're welcome.
How about the balcony?
Do you guys have sprinklers on your balcony? I think you do. Yeah. Yeah. So you got sprinkler protected balconies. Yeah. So you just wait. If you ever see a bird making a nest on those things, let maintenance know so they can come and get that nest out before they lay eggs in it. So yeah. So we've had in the last year, I think we've had 4 or 5 balcony sprinkler activations. They work very well. So.
Well, they came through a few months ago and did something to help with that.
So what they did was they applied new insulation around the inside of the wall where the pipe comes out of the wall to the sprinkler head, because that place is where you get your cold air entering into where the pipe is.
And it freezes
So
the
they
sprinkler.
came and they put all new insulation in all of the fire sprinklers that are on the balconies and patios to help with mitigating frozen pipes. That's what it was for. And that was done in every apartment, I think 2 years ago. Yes, I know.
Firemen,
All right.
Yeah, exactly, we got here. The fire doors in the hallways, when they're activated, can you open them up, override that, or are they closed for sure?
I'll let Chase talk. You can override those, but he'll tell you all about it.
Whenever a fire happens, those doors are as standard right now with no fire implementation or any kind of issue going on. They are hooked onto a magnetic door holder. Whenever a fire activates and it trips the fire alarm system, those door magnets are made to release and those fire doors close. And that's along the lines of the elevator is to prevent spreading, because they're fire doors. They're rated to withstand a certain temperature of fire for a certain period of time before the fire department gets here and puts it out. More times than not, as a safety issue, they don't make the doors lock. You can open them, but it's very cautious that you're not going into a part of a building that is currently on fire. So the best real solution is to avoid the fire doors unless that's your only means of exit, and to find a different way, which would be like the stairwells, or that's really it, because you have to stay in place order and the elevators are shut down. It's very common that when a fire does happen, the doors do close. The fire department will come out here, they'll put the fire out, and they'll start evacuating you a certain way. They'll open the doors for you. They'll get you a means of departing the facility.
And we like those doors because part of our job is to get the smoke out, and those doors keep the smoke from traveling through the whole building, so we don't have to chase smoke all over the place.
The question that he had may have had its basis in the fact that whenever we have the fire department comes to test anything, all those doors close.
That's right.
And the point I think that he was trying to make was, if we know there's no fire, and we know you guys are just having fun out there, can we just come through the door?
Yeah, why don't you open it?
Can you physically? Yes. They all have panic hardware on them where you push that bar and they'll open.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if I'm.
I don't know if Kim wants you doing that, but you can. Yeah.
Okay, so if you've been notified that we're doing a test, or if they're doing a replacement of something and we inevitably are gonna have an alarm go off, you're gonna know that. It's gonna be on the app, you're gonna get notified that a test is gonna happen today, okay? If you didn't get the notice or you didn't read your phone, I'm sorry, but we did put it out to everyone. Can you go through the doors? Absolutely, during a test. The test isn't even for the doors. If we're doing a fire inspection and the fire department believes that there's something wrong with the door, they might test the door.
My question really was not against anything.
Uh-huh.
It was just to find out whether or not, if you knew that they were already gone and the doors were still closed, could we just go through the door?
If the fire department is here for a fire, they will give us the thumbs up when it is safe for us to open the doors. And that when we open the door, it will automatically activate and stay open. If the door does not stay open on its own, then the fire department has not yet cleared us to open the doors. Maintenance usually goes around and opens all the doors during a test. Once the test is over, they will go around and open all the doors. If you know it's a test, yes, you can come through those doors. We have to let the doors shut because that's the way they work. But if it's a test, you can get through the door without, it's not a thou shalt not pass door if it's only a test, okay? They are a little bit heavy, so you do need to know, especially if you have a walker or you're using a mobility device like a cane, that you might need help to get that door open. Ask for help. Ask a member of the management to help you get through the door. If you're over here in building 1 and you want to come to the dining room, you know, and
Those doors aren't gonna stay open long though. It's
Right.
not like, we're not talking hours if we're doing
Right.
a test.
Yeah.
So chances of you having to get through them just in that small time frame, may not come into play.
I'm
But
just
if it
saying,
does,
yeah, I say as a firefighter, as long as you don't prop that door open, you know. If you pass from one side to the other, I wish you would just get out of the building. But even if there's a real fire and you pass from one to the other and the door closes behind you, I'm still trying to put the fire out. If you had your walker and it got stuck where that door got propped open and now we got smoke coming into another part of the building, that'd be bad.
That wasn't what I was talking about.
I think we've run that to ground. Do you have any question left in your mind about that?
Yeah, reality.
No? Good? Got it?
Suzanne, the last time we had tests, we had multiple tests, and I had to open the doors and
Really?
make sure that the magnets caught, because the doors were never opened back up. On our
Well, your new maintenance guy is not going to let that happen. Don't worry. He's got you.
all you have to do is call the front desk and say, hey, our doors are still shut. Can somebody come help us?
Well, I know how to do it, it's not that wasn't the question. But
Yeah.
optimistically, it was closed for half the day.
Oh,
Yes.
All right. Yes, you're welcome.
What's the fire department's policy on pets?
We'll go after pets. Pets come after people, but I've rescued a ton of pets. Yeah, so we'll come after pets. You know, Cats are the worst. You got cats? Oh man, those things! I seen them run across the wall. Yeah, there's a fire in the thing. I took someone's pillowcase. I was trying to shove it in the pillowcase. You'd have thought it was like Spider-Man crawling all over the walls. That cat, I had to grab it. It attacked me. Luckily, I had my gear on. You know.
But if you throw them off the balcony, they land on their feet, right?
They've got mine.
I felt bad one time. One time I was going to get a cat, and it said, "I'm not going with you. I'd rather jump off this balcony." Luckily, it was only a second-story balcony. It was fine, but I had to tell the owner, I said, "Sorry, your cat jumped out off the balcony." But great question. Yeah, we rescue dogs, cats, parrots, all kinds of stuff. So, yeah.
All this is very logical, but sometimes during a fire, things become illogical. So if someone panics and wants to get out of their apartment, would going and sitting in the stairwell be an option?
I think if you can get, like you weren't mobile enough to go down the stairs and get out, it is, but it might not be your best option, although you do have protected stairwells. So, I mean, what do you think? It'd be about, it doesn't matter to me. Yeah, I think if you don't have smoke in the stairwell, you're welcome, as long as you're not preventing people from going down the stairs and egressing the building. If you have a walker or a wheelchair, I would not recommend that. Yeah. But yeah, if you're just saying, hey, I can't be in this room anymore, I gotta do something, you know, and you're not able to go down the stairs.
Take your cell phone.
Yeah, take your cell phone. You know, really your room is gonna be the most comfortable, safest place, especially if you don't have an activation or smell strong smoke. But yeah, if you're just in there by yourself and you tried to scooch down your butt and you made it halfway down, you know, just take your cell phone and just call, hey, I'm in stairwell 3 on the 2nd floor, and once I put the fire out and I get additional resources, I'm saying, I've got someone in stairwell 3 on the 2nd floor, can you go grab them, and they'll come and grab you.
What about the patio?
Patios are an option for sure. Like if you have fire in your room, and that's your only... Yeah, if it gets too smoky in there, you're certainly welcome to go out there. And those are sprinkler protected. I've rescued people out of patios. That's not your best option. But in a building like this, I've never done it in a sprinkled building. So sprinkled buildings kind of take care of themselves. Thanks to these guys. Anything to say about that?
I would say always use your patio as kind of a last option. Especially if you're on a 3rd or 4th story, your patio is going to be nice to escape the smoke. But if that fire is starting inside of your unit, you're kind of trapping yourself out there. So the best egress for you to do is to get out the front door, your entry door, and try to assess what's going on to see if you can go down a stairwell to see if someone's maintenance is coming around, letting everyone know it's a false alarm or something like that. Whereas if you do have a fire, and you go out onto your patio, if you're trapping yourself, you're then having to rely on the sprinkler system, which is probably just one sprinkler head out there, and then now you're having to wait on the fire department to come get you once everything's cleared up.
Do you have any devices or any labels that you can put on the door or outside window, whatever, that says you have animals inside?
I don't have this, but Amazon, you could Amazon that, yeah.
Yeah, like my house, we have a little sticker that says how many children are there, how many pets, and it's by our front door. I think we got it at Walmart or Home Depot or something like that a couple years ago.
Right, cool.
In order to keep a fire from happening, I know that there's a rule here that no one is supposed to have an open candle. Candle lit, just plain regular candle, and there are people who have done that. I think they're new and they're just not aware of it, but we're not supposed to have candles lit in our apartments or anyplace else.
Well, hopefully with the addition of those small little 2.5-pound extinguishers that might be put into your individual units, if something does happen like a candle is lit and it gets knocked down, there's a way to now put it out without having to go into the hallway and get a hefty extinguisher. There's
Right.
more readily available.
But it's easier not to have it lit.
That too, yeah.
They've got these really neat ones now that are just battery operated.
Or like a Glade plug-in that still smells really good but produces no
I've been
flame.
here a long time, been told that we are not supposed to have candles lit.
Yeah.
I think you need to give those names to Kim and she can probably do something about that.
All right. Well, if you guys would give a special round of applause to this man, with the freezing temperature, they got a lot going on. So I really appreciate you taking time to come out, talk to us. Thank you for the invitation. Always fun coming out to talk to y'all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.